What if I took a chili pepper and a greyhound dog and blended them into one character? And then what if I painted it onto this big canvas? That's exactly what I'm gonna do. After brainstorming with a bunch of animals and foods I liked, I decided on a chili pepper greyhound to draw. Then I did some more ideating to get the general shape and the pose of the dog. Here you can see if I'm deciding whether to put the top of the chili pepper on his face or on his butt. From there, I just made a bunch of silhouettes to get different shapes of the dogs, playing around with a long neck or a long torso, just getting a different kind of feel for each silhouette. At first I thought of making him like a dry chili pepper, but then he looked too wrinkly and old, so then I went with something more simple like this. This is one of the more final designs I settled on. Then I figured out how he would look in a more three-dimensional fashion, and also played around with different poses of him running. Here are some studies of chili peppers to see exactly how they're formed. Here's more sketches of me playing around to see how he would look like when running. Then I went in on Procreate and I digitized it, playing around with making the legs bigger and the legs shorter so I could get a pose I wanted to use that I could use to reference for the final painting. I started by using a mechanical pencil and a ruler to make a grid directly onto the canvas. I then took a photo of the canvas with my iPad and dragged my digital drawing onto the canvas in Procreate, lowering the opacity so I could see the grid below the drawing. This was an easy way to transfer my drawing onto the canvas, and it was really accurate. Now for the fun part, I could finally start painting. I started with a nice peach color for the background, and I tried to erase the pencil as well, but it was super hard to get off, so I had to do at least 2 layers of paint. I was using a pretty thin acrylic paint, so it was okay using 2 layers. And to make it dry faster, I used a hair dryer, blow dryer, just to speed up the process. So I started from back to front using that nice peach color, and then I went in with more base colors using this bright red as the base of the chili dog. For shadows, I kept it really simple and just used a nice sharp darker color instead of a complicated render. Mac and cheese break. I forgot to eat, so I'm eating mac and cheese. This was my first big painting where I really tried hard to make it look good. I've played around with acrylic paints in the past, and obviously I've done murals in the past, but I haven't done anything this complex and this thought out. I felt really proud of this painting in particular because it felt like it was my style exactly, this flat graphic style with an animal as the main character. Oh! Pause on the video for a shameless plug. I'm now selling these custom pet portraits. I will draw your pet based on photo references you send me, and it is free shipping in the US, and every order comes with a mystery sticker that I've designed. They're $50 each. All you have to do is send me an email at hannahsmithmail@gmail.com or send a DM at hannahxart if you're interested. Back to the painting. Okay, so I was gonna use this new acrylic paint pen that I bought, but it dries really glossy and I hated how that looked. So I went to use the classic Posca paint pen, but alas, she is almost dead. So I'm gonna have to order a new one and continue this another day.
2 weeks later.
I just got back from a 2-week trip to Philly, and I have a little bit of a cold, but I really want to finish this thing, so let's do it.
Back to it 2 weeks later. Outlining this thing was definitely the most satisfying part because it was finally starting to come together. I could just go in there and fill this thing out with all the details I wanted, like whiskers and just all those little cross-hatching marks that I love to do to add some life to this design. It ended up kind of looking comic book-y because of the cross-hatching, which I don't tend to do comic book style art, but it ended up looking like that, so, you know, it looks cool to me. I also had a handy dandy white Posca marker that I used for all the little highlights. Instead of just going in and drawing squares or big shapes for the highlights, I went in with little tiny dots, which I think was a cool effect. Not something I normally do, but something I just wanted to experiment with. and it added highlights, but it didn't seem too overwhelming, which I think was a nice touch. All the highlights were done, so I signed my name on this thing and I was ready to varnish with some liquid varnish, but everything just started going wrong. Oh, that looks terrible. Oh shit, that was a bad idea. Well, yay. Girl. We cover that varnish, yeah. We cover that varnish, yeah. We cover that varnish, yeah. We will fix this problem because we are resourceful and shit happens, so we don't even worry about it. Yeah. No one's gonna notice except all these people on YouTube, and by all these people I mean like all my friends only, cause I make them watch this video.
1 week later.
I learned my lesson and used spray varnish instead of liquid varnish. The sun's in my eyes. Okay, after a few weeks of figuring out how to varnish this thing, she is finally finished. I'm super proud of how it turned out. This is my biggest painting I've done. Well, I've done murals, but this is my biggest canvas painting I've ever done, and I think it turned out pretty cool. I'm gonna be selling this original piece at my art show in Temecula. I will put details in the description below. If you are local to Southern California and want to see my art in person, feel free to come by. If you like this video, please feel free to check out my other videos. I make mural vlogs and also travel vlogs, sketchbook tours, anything art or travel related, I make it. Thank you so much for watching, and I will see you in the next video. Bye bye!